Oh my gosh, I have never felt so satisfied by a film. Hey guys, welcome back to Greenlight Cinema. I'm your host Brandon Pacheco, and today we're going to talk about Barbie, the movie. Yeah, I'm about a year behind almost, but I finally watched Barbie. It wasn't bad. What a movie this was. I believe that Helen Mirren's doing a narration for this movie. She's pretty much saying that girls played with, had nothing till Barbie came along. So we got like this giant Margot Barbie. That's what I coined in this movie. I wrote this down in my notes. You're going to hear me call her Margot Barbie because there's a lot of Barbies, like variations from a Marvel movie. I'm trying to help the other kin and other men what I just experienced and watched. I think though, I like this beginning, I do like this opening scene because it kind of gives us, the audience, a little bit of how far this movie can stretch reality. I have this Margot Barbie that's the size of a skyscraper. This movie is so colorful and bright and vivid and smart. Tells a lot of interesting kind of direct messages that I don't think it just applies. I think this can apply to almost anybody. That you have to have an open mindset walking into this film, okay? I'm just gonna say that. This movie, I feel like I kind of maybe understand the whole strong women thing because my mom and grandma, they pretty much raised me. So they're the strongest people I know, and they're women, and they both, and so I came from them. So I believe that, the whole women empowerment thing, that's awesome. I totally get that. Great message in this movie. So please still stay subscribed to me for doing this review, guys. This movie opens, so it starts out with, you see Barbie in her dream house. Barbie's doing like the whole pretend thing. It's like first my brain didn't quite grasp it, but then the narration and other things kind of let you understand what's all going on, that this is pretend make-believe. The sets, the cars, everything absolutely looks very toyetic. And yes, I'm using that word.
Particular movie, because Batman Forever had been so successful and brought a lot of people back into the theaters, there was enormous pressure on us to create more inventions in the film that could be turned into toys. I learned a new phrase in my life called toyetic, whether a movie is toyetic or not, and how many toys people can get out of it. Hence a lot of toys in this movie.
That's a Joel Schumacher term that was used for Batman and Robin, I want to say. It's kind of a Warner Brothers word anyway. So the cars, the sets, everything's like in this really like play toy Barbie world. About Barbie Land, there's Barbie Land, and then there's the real world, reality, where we're all part of. And you guys know I'm a big toy guy. I'm watching this and I'm like, wow, like how cool would it be if you could do this with Star Wars? But then I'm like, that's kind of redundant because that's just watching a Star Wars movie. I believe I get all the meanings of the movie. Like, I understand our characters. I understand their plight. I understand where all this goes. There's like a hierarchy of Barbies. There's the President Barbie. There's Margot Barbie. She's our stereotypical Barbie. And then there's like other variants of Barbie as well. But then there's all Kens. So Ken, not important. And Ken's sole purpose, I wrote this down. Ken does not have a good day unless Barbie looks at him. I was like, oh jeez. So he lives very much on her validation. So Ken's only purpose is Barbie. Loved Ryan Gosling in this. Oh my gosh. He's probably, oh my gosh, like he was over the top. Like he was like what you'd think Ryan Reynolds would be for this movie. Without having to get Ryan Reynolds. Like, I was like, other Ryans have talent? Whoa! No, I'm a big fan of Drive. and I like the Blade Runner. I saw and the Notebook. I like that movie. So I like Ryan Gosling. Lars in Real Life is an insane movie. You guys should check that movie out. So Ryan Gosling fits this movie. Ryan Gosling's Ken is always like battling against this other Ken, and they're like, let's have a beach off, which I felt lost at watching this. I was like, wait, what did they just say? There's just these guys are so crazy, like they're so funny. Ryan Gosling's like, all right, I'm gonna like go hard and surf this wave, and they're like plastic waves, and like he just like walks into it or runs into it real hard, and he's like, I'm not gonna make it, and he's over the top in this. It reminds me, if anyone's ever watched Toy Story 3, that's a real good start to understanding about this movie, because Michael Keaton's Ken for that movie feels heavily inspired for Ryan Gosling's Ken. They're just over the top outfits, gotta look cool. Barbie, oh, I love Barbie. I am so, it's like their only purpose, and it's hilarious. But yeah, this movie reminds me of Toy Story 3 in a way. I've watched that movie up to 1 million times, so I knew what to look for. A funny face to see that I hadn't seen in about like 20 years. Michael Cera's in this movie, and he plays Alan. All these people, by the way, they're playing real Barbies and Kens. I'm not sure if this is a real Alan's a real thing. I'm not sure, but I think like my wife's like, oh, I remember that. So there's a whole lot of Easter eggs, and there's Easter eggs for people who don't like or who don't know much about Barbies, like men. I've seen a few Wizard of Oz posters in the background as she's going past a movie theater. The CG in this movie looked real good, because it blends in real good right with the sets. We're real hot pink and pastel colors or light blues and things, real bright. So the Barbies and Kens are having a dance party, and everything's going real good, but then like Barbie's like, does anyone think about death? And they're like, wait, what'd you say? And then the party stops, and she's like, I mean, I can't, I'm dying to dance some more or something. And they're like, oh, okay. And so that's where her world starts to deteriorate. She wakes up the next day, and like things aren't going as smooth as they were like when we first see her, where she's like waking up and all hyped and optimistic, and like she's having a bad day like we all have sometimes. So she's like, oh, that's real weird. I'm not understanding this. I'm not liking this. Their Barbies are like, oh, you're not walking right. They're like, you're walking flat. So they make her go see Weird Barbie, and Weird Barbie's like, look, girl, here's what you gotta do. Let's talk about Kate McKinnon Barbie. Oh my gosh, that was great. I haven't seen Kate. Speaking of Ghostbusters, the last review we did, I have not seen Kate McKinnon do anything other than Saturday Night Live, but she is great in this. Yeah, my wife's like, oh, one of those Barbies, she's like, that's for the girls that got real rough with them. And I was like, oh, okay. So there's something in there that like everybody, like your wife is gonna know every one of these Barbies, guarantee it. Mine did. Glad I have one to walk me through. So Kate McKinnon's got like pencil, paint, marker, everything drawn. Her hair's been cut. She's like just a wild mess. And they picked the best, and if you ask me, they picked the best actress to play this part. Like Kate McKinnon is hilarious and crazy and bizarre and funny. So she's like, okay, I've been through this before myself. Let me walk you right through it. She's like, first you gotta go to the real world, May not be doing this movie in order. I am sorry about that. There's also a scene after the party. Ken's trying to go home with Barbie. He's like, so what are you doing after the party? You want to like try and kiss? And I stay over? And she's like, oh, but this is my dream house though. Like Barbie's dream house. She's like, what would we even do, Ken? And he's like, I don't even honestly know, but you're smart and you're right again, Barbie. And I just thought that was funny. Ryan Gosling is perfect for this movie and this material, guys. He got it, the good thing about this movie is I found myself laughing a whole lot. Like, to me, a movie don't sell ya unless it does something to you. And this movie for me was just hyped up with comedy, some life lessons, and emotional scenes. It's real good. To me, this is how I go about a movie. If a movie don't move you, if you're not moved by a movie, you're sitting there watching it, you're not feeling anything of it. It's 90 minutes and your brain is like, what am I getting out of this movie? That's not a movie. I'm embarrassed to say, but I got more out of this movie than probably I've watched anything this year so far. This movie for me succeeds. Going back to Barbie and Ken, there's a turmoil going through Ken. Like, he's like, oh, I want to be a part of Barbie's world. There's girls' night every night, and I'm not a part of it. Jeez. Kate McKinnon's Barbie's weird Barbie, by the way. And so she's walking stereotypical Barbie. How to get to the real world. She's telling her how to get there through the real world. She's like, you opened up a portal by thinking bad thoughts. Now, it wasn't her exactly. Margot Barbie didn't really think the bad thoughts. Apparently, the girl she's tied to, linked into, she's thinking bad, sad thoughts or whatever. So it's causing Margot Barbie to malfunction in her world. Weird Barbie gives Margot Barbie the option to like do something or not do something, and she's like, I choose not to do something and just let it go back to how it goes. She's like, oh, don't go like that. So she's like, I was trying to give you a choice and make you feel like you have one, but you don't. She's like, you gotta go fix this. You gotta go find your girl. So if Barbie doesn't find her girl, her world will be forever sad, or she won't. Yeah, she'll be forever sad. It just gets worse. We don't really know what's bad for this character, but we don't want it. Again, this movie succeeds because we root for our main characters hardcore in this movie. Barbie doesn't understand. She thinks that ever since her presence has been brought into the world, that there's no such thing as sadness for girls or the rest of the world, which is a nice thought. But no, it's a little complicated. Like it goes so well with the whole black and white themes, and if there's gray in there too. I like how it plays on that so well. I love Kate McKinnon Barbie's look in this movie. Kate McKinnon looks like she looks like a therapist or something. That'd be like constantly telling you her pronouns, But I love the look. She tells her too how to get to the real world is important. She's like, there's actually no portal, but there's a sports car, speedboat, rocket ship, tandem bike, finally snowmobile, and that's how you get to Los Angeles. Oh, and you gotta go through space. Which, that was my favorite part. Space, guys. Space, guys. So all the Barbies and Kens are throwing Barbie a going away party. They're like, well done, you're going out into the real world. Awesome. And Ken's like, yeah. She wanted me to go, but I was like, too busy. Got my own thing going. And they're like, yeah, There's a lot of role reverse in this. Like, the guys act real catty towards each other, And the Barbies tell Margot Barbie, I bet you'll be super expected, and they'll just, give you a hug, and, you piece of pie. It's so easy. You're going to do so good and have so much fun. And be an inspiration to everybody, in the real world. But at the same time, the Kens are not supporting each other. They're being real catty and, betting on it, I bet you can't go with her, Ken. Like, oh, I bet I can, Ken, So Barbie's taking off to go to the real world in her Barbie car mobile. And as she's going down the road, Ken pops out. And it is the most hilarious thing. He's like, Barbie, let me go with you. I made a bet with the other Ken that you would take me with you. And she's like, yeah, Ken is not cool, Ken. And he's like, he is to me. And I'm telling you, I'm just losing it watching Ryan Gosling in this. I'm like, there's no way this guy's that funny. Oh my gosh. So Barbie lets Ken go. Ryan Gosling, they're riding the sports car, speedboat. So, and they just enter in Los Angeles rollerblading with the most neon 90s. Hot pink, blue, yellow. I mean, it's like you can spot them out 3 miles away. Immediately, as soon as Barbie and Ken get to the real world, Barbie immediately starts feeling uncomfortable. She's like, whoa, whoa, I'm getting a whole lot of attention. I don't want this or like it. And Ken's like, whoa, yeah, attention, you know, because he's not used to it in Barbie land. Barbie and Ken are getting way too much attention, and she punches somebody and they go to jail for a second. It's like a wacky fast montage, and then they got new clothes. With what money, I don't know. But you know, again, in the beginning of this review, like I said, it's like the reality gets stretched a lot in this movie. Just have fun with it. Just put that in your mindset, yeah. Okay? And Barbie, she's like, oh crap, I gotta find, you know, my girls. Like, Ken, like, just dial it back some. And he's like, I am so bored. And she's like, go take a walk somewhere. So he does. And he starts walking into the city, and there's like horses. And he has Ken's whole thing's about horses and patriarchy. And he's like, oh my, he gets mansplained and manjucated, I guess you'd say, on how men are by just like advertisements on when he's walking around. So he goes to a school and he's like, how do I figure out patriarchy and horses? It's a super hilarious scene though. Like Ryan Gosling, like he, you know, he's not used to like ever being noticed, and like a lady asks him for the time and he loses it. Like he's like, you asked me for the time? Wow. Meanwhile, we see Barbie, and she's like, you know, she's on this park bench thinking. She's got nostalgic memories kind of going on, like a little girl playing on the floor for toys, or maybe a lady playing there with her. You know, she's like, it's kind of vague and fuzzy for her, you know. Margot Barbie comes too. So next, we get this scene where like Barbie, she's like, okay, I gotta go find this girl. And it's kind of a real interesting scene. You know, she's overwhelmed by the spectrum of emotions that is on this earth, guys. Barbie's experience in the real world is drastically different from Ken's, you know. He's like, men are respected here, you know. Patriarchy. Oh my gosh, I had $1 for every time I heard that in this movie, right? So during all this, the FBI, so cut to, we see the FBI as getting a hold of Mattel and's like, hey, one of your Barbies has gotten loose with a Ken, so you guys gotta take care of this. And they're like, oh, okay. So next we got this like little office assistant guy going to a whole like room full of just Will Ferrell and a bunch of executives. And Will Ferrell is over ridiculous in this movie, like you think he would be. You know, for this material, is he respectable? Is he the most respectful actor for this material? I mean, he made me feel odd seeing him in here, but you know, he's America's sweetheart. He is. So they're like in a panic when they see this guy. They're like, first of all, Will Ferrell's like, can you pass it to me through a whisper? And he's just the most oddest, quirkiest executive boss guy. But so his goal is to get Barbie back. So somehow Barbie finds Sasha at her school, and she just goes and confronts her, you know. However, though, Barbie doesn't get the warm reception she was hoping or thinking she would get from Sasha. Sasha has to give Barbie the down low and break her heart and say that she's outdated, she's offensive stereotype that was made by a bunch of bigots. So back to Ken, we see him going. He's trying to like figure out what it is to be a man exactly. And he's like going to like big, you know, like he's going to like an office building. He's like, hey, I want a high level job with high level influence and high level pay. And they're like, oh, okay. And so Ken's kind of having problems in the world too, because he's finding out he's not qualified for anything. So Ken's trying to meet up with Barbie at the school, but he sees the Mattel Men in Black show up, is why I wrote down and called him. But they're kind of like, oh, we got to get Barbie back too. You know, they're not real concerned about Ken. Like, he's hiding out. Like, gosh, I sure hope they don't find me. But they're not concerned about him and at all. So Barbie gets picked up at the same time. Gloria picks up Sasha, Sasha's mom, and they're huge, intricate characters for this movie. I liked what Sasha said about Barbie. She said that she's reality challenged, and I was like, that's a kind way to say what I am. So Mattel brings Barbie back to the headquarters. Will Ferrell and his executives, they're real big about putting her back in that box. And she's like, okay, I'll do it, but let me get a drink of water. And they're like, oh, okay. And then she's like, what about Ken? They're like, oh, we're not concerned about him ever. So get back in that box, you. Barbie, like me, and all of us, I guess, that was the point of having Will Ferrell. I just got that. That's brilliant. She's got real uneasy feeling about his appearance because he's not a woman. She's like, can I talk to the woman in charge? And he's like, I am come from a woman because I am a son of a mother. So like Barbie bolts, and Will Ferrell and his executive men take off after her, and I did love this. It's hilarious. They have like highly choreographed, fine, skilled guys chasing after her, but they cannot make it to Barbie. Like, they're like, and like someone's like trying to go through a turnstile, and they're like, can't not do it. And so they're like vertically challenged or inclined to like trying to. They're about as helpful and strong as Ken, which is no strength, no help. So Barbie's able to run away from Mattel. And just in the same time she runs out of the Mattel building, Sasha and her mom Gloria has followed Barbie actually, and they're like, hop in. So apparently all of Barbie's thoughts of death and sadness has actually came not from Sasha. So we find out that the reason why Barbie's had thoughts of death isn't actually from Sasha, which I'm glad, because that would have been kind of bleak. It was actually from her mom. Apparently her mom had been playing with, she got sad, she said, and started playing with Sasha's Barbies. And but that's what caused this portal connection or whatever. So so Gloria, as soon as she seen Barbie at the school, she got wheels started turning. She's like, oh my gosh, there's Sasha's Barbie I've been playing with. Let me go find her. That's my girl that I'm connected to, apparently. It is it's a neat thing. It's a story. Yeah. Look, as an adult who collects Star Wars toys, I vibe this mom. Like, I didn't want to, but I'm like, oh, I'm kind of Gloria. Like, I'm like the male version of Gloria in a way. I get her, and I love this movie. I wrote in my notes, and I hope this doesn't come off too offensive, but to me, the real hero of this movie, and you'll see as I go along, actually turns out to be Gloria. I like the idea of Sasha kind of opening this world for us, just because her imagination as an adult hit her hard while she's playing for Barbies with her daughter's Barbies, so Gloria and Sasha and Barbie are like, we gotta get out of here, we're getting chased by Mattel, and let's go see what let's go to the other Barbies. So when she gets back to Barbie Land, Margot Barbie is sadly mistaken of she's like, whoa, like, what's happened to this awesome land, my land, Barbie Land, So what has happened is Ken came to the real world. Him and Barbie kind of walked away for a little bit. He's seen a whole lot of the man's world. So he's like, let me take this whole idea of patriarchy and horses, or what I think patriarchy is, and drive it on down to Barbie Land. Great idea. I love how meta this movie got. Like, they're like, so now that Ken takes over Barbie's dream house, not just her world, her dream house too, and he calls it Ken's Jojo Casa House. Because you gotta have casa and house describing your house. or man, you know, Mojo, Jojo, Mojo Dojo Casa House. So it's dramatically different now. But not too much. Like, you still got the pastel colors and everything going. So the only one that has a problem with any of this kingdom going on is Alan. But Alan's like hiding with Sasha and Gloria. He's like, get me out of here. I'm not part of this. But this whole patriarchy, man, horses, has went to Ken's head. Barbie's like, let me get my house, or, you know, can I get in there? And he's like, no, because it's Ken's Mojo Dojo Casa House. You know, you told me no, so I'm telling you, how does it feel? Yeah. So now every night's boys' night. Ugh. Barbie's like defeated in this scene. Like, she's real scared of change and don't like things the way they are. I'm gonna sit here and lay down and just cry. And so again, it gets real meta with us, the movie. They're like the new Depression Barbie now. She wears sweatpants and hoodies all day long and stays on her phone for several hours. And I'm like, oh, I get that. But Weird Barbie finds Margot Barbie and takes her with her, though. Weird Barbie's kind of collecting all the, like, recalled, like the island of misfit toys. It's like, here's the sugar daddy Ken and another Ken that failed, and here's all the other Barbies that are, you know, here's all the other Barbies that didn't do so well, so I'm hanging on to them. So now you're part of us. And Sasha and Gloria and Alan are all there too. So Gloria's got to help pick the pieces up here. Since she started playing with Margot Barbie, she's like, you know, life is sad, you know, you're having this existence type thing, you know, I get it, the existential crisis, you know, I get it, you know, some days, she's like, you're being actually, she's like, you know, you said you want to be human or something, you know, you're being so human right now, you know, life, she gives her, like, that whole spill, it's a real sweet, this scene, this is why I say Gloria is actually the hero of the movie, because she has this motivating, great scene where she just talks to, you know, Barbie, but not just Barbie, the audience. I mean, the scene moved me, you know. Wow, this movie made me feel things. And again, right there, that's what succeeds. A movie that makes you feel, yeah? I have to give this movie, guys, 5 stars, really. The last few movies I've watched, they were interesting, they were great, but I didn't feel much. Emotional, epic, powerful, great messages all over the place. Women empowerment, it's got a lot of that, guys. And the women empowerment was, I think, well executed. I really enjoyed this movie. This has kind of been a big year for GLC and women empowerment, you know, because Fargo season 5 is very much female driven. And I enjoyed that. And I actually enjoyed that about Fargo. I mean, I have no complaints here. I recommend this movie for everybody to at least watch this one time, guys. People should watch this at least one time to give it a shot. Come in with an open mind and check it out, guys. So Gloria is able to get Margot Barbie out of her funk, as you'd put it, you know. What they do is they get a Barbie to decoy and say, like, oh, what's this 8-ball do? And so one of the Kens will be like, oh, let me mansplain this to you. And so they, the Barbie that's deprogrammed is the distracted Barbie. And she gets mansplained by Ken. She's not affected by it anymore because she's been deprogrammed. But they nab up his Barbie and they put her in a van with Gloria. Gloria brings them back to their reality. Deprograms them from the Kenism, I guess you'd say. So they're not only doing that, but they're also getting the Kens jealous and making them fight with each other so that they can get back in power. They get back to their White House and pass their bill so that the Ken bill doesn't get passed, and they get to have their Barbie land back. So it goes over real well they're all singing the same song to a different Barbie, but the Barbies are switching with Kens, and the Kens are like, oh, and so they get into like, they're like, we're gonna have a Ken off, you know, beach off, and I'm like, oh my gosh, any more of these beach offs. Will Ferrell and his executives, they actually get to the fight that's going on, and for a minute it's like my brain just blanked out, and I felt like I was like watching Anchorman or something. You know, like the Anchorman fights. I was like, oh, Ron Burgundy showed up, the old an older version of Ron Burgundy. The Kens are like fighting. They get into like a Ken off and start singing, and we get Ryan Gosling's number about "I'm just a Ken," and it's like, I hope I don't get copyrighted for that, what I just sang out. But that right there, it was, the music numbers kind of, it was kind of funny because it's like they get distracted, which I kind of forgot about what the whole, like, I was like, oh yeah, crap, their whole thing. Like, this whole plan that Barbie came out with, was bulletproof. It worked. The Kens got distracted. They lose. And Ryan Gosling has this great scene where he's like, what do I do now? And she's like, you're Ken. Figure it out. You know, he's like, but I don't have to have, he's like, but I have to have you. And she's like, but you know, I don't really have to have you. Like, she don't, like, I don't think she exactly tells him that, but like, he just can't get over his, like, crap. Margot Barbie wants to be human. And at the end, by Rhea Perlman, she's Ruth Handler, the actual creator of Barbie. She's playing her. I love Rhea Perlman. So it was a real treat seeing her, but she's got like this gift or ability to be able to talk to Margot Barbie throughout the movie in some scenes. But at the end, she's like, you know, it's all up to you. It's your choice. She's like, we've all made mistakes. You know, you're going to make them, but you're going to be great. And she goes out into the world, and it ends with her going to her first gynecologist meeting. Alright, that's my review for Barbie. Actually a pretty funny, interesting movie. I really didn't mind this movie, guys. But that's my review for this movie, Barbie. Hope you guys will check it out if you hadn't already. Please like this episode and share it, guys. And Brando out.